Hey guys, it's Royal here. We got some new news from Avatar Legends, a fighting game. They're finally showcasing Aang's special moves, and there's a lot in this quick video that they showcased. And I'm gonna also just quickly go over some things that are very interesting, actually. So let's break it down. So as soon as the trailer or this video starts, they show that Korra, she throws out some projectile and she gets she's in the recovery of it, right? Because it missed, and she gets hit by this, and this seems to be like some kind of counter hit state. You can see the effects here, and this is what looks to be like Aang's crouching heavy attack. But the interesting thing to note here is this actually launches Korra like right into the sky. Look at this. She goes right into the sky. So I mean, first of all, this is cool that the stage kind of moves with it. Like the stage is actually, drawn out even, in the sky. So you can see like the people in the Northern Water Tribe, and you can see Naga fully clearly. That's pretty cool. And then Aang's able to just do like a combo after launching them into the air like that. This kind of reminds me of Guilty Gear's dust mechanic if you've played Guilty Gear, where if you hit someone with a charged dust, they get launched up into the air, and then you can do like a bunch of combos. I don't know if this is specific to Aang only, or this is like universal, but this is pretty cool. And then he does like a huge like combo, and he's able to cancel his jump cancels midair, go down, and then still pick up. This is really cool. So quickly going over the control scheme. So you got your light, medium, heavy, you got your flow, and now they're showing that there's actually EX attacks in this game, and that's really interesting because this implies that if there is EX attacks, that there is a resource gauge tied to using EX attacks, obviously. And then that also poses a question: if there is EX attacks that use like a gauge, then is a super are the supers also attached to the same gauge? Because traditionally, like for example in Street Fighter 4, you would be able to do EX attacks and then do supers, but they shared the same super bar. So it could be where if you decide to go for EX attacks, you might not have meter to do super, or it could be something like in Street Fighter 6 where the EX gauge, or like the drive gauge, or whatever you want to call it, it's its own meter, and then supers have their own meter. So they could do something like Street Fighter 6 where it has it's separated. But if it's not the case, then it's going to be shared, and it might even be shared with flow as well, because I could see flow using meter as well for how strong flow is and what flow allows you to do in this game. So it's motion inputs. So there's no what am I talking about? There's no simple inputs in this game. It's going to be motion inputs, and they start off showing that his QCF, his like fireball move, basically is the air scooter. So the light one, goes like least farthest, and then it hits them. And I'm assuming on block is probably plus, or I mean, sorry, not plus, safe. And then the medium version, this is cool. It allows him to go above people and like jump off. You can see after you press the medium attack, you can do it again, and it allows him to hop off. So that's really cool. And then the EX version, and so finally we got one thing here. When you do EX moves, you get the outline of the element in the back in blue. So this is not flow, this is EX moves being done. So that's finally good to see. And this version is insanely fast, and then allows them to pick up behind. And something to note here, you can see, I'm going to put this in like 25% speed because this is happening so quick. There is a mechanic at play here. They're going to explain it later because I don't know exactly how this works, but you can see that after getting hit by this EX move, Korra has that like tinge of green outline on her, and there's like this white effect showcasing like air currents or whatever. And because of this, you can see how quick Aang moves right to left. Like he has a speed boost moving through Korra because of that. And I'm assuming that only happens because Korra because of that mechanic. And then right after, you can see Korra no longer has it after getting hit. So it allows him to pick up with specific, attacks like this. And by the way, this attack is also insane. Like he's behind her, and this move is hitting behind Korra. This hitbox is insane. Like Aang has some insane hitboxes on his jumping heavies. So moving on, we got this move. It's a pretty good poke move. He slaps his staff on the ground and hits them. So the light one, that one goes already pretty far. This is just the medium one, and this is straight up like from corner to mid screen, like that. And this move also goes in the air, so you can also probably dodge things if you time it. because it is airborne. And getting hit by that just sends them full screen. And then the heavy one is insane because this one has like a little like startup to it, but this specific startup like allows you to easily dodge moves that are coming, right? Like any projectiles. And then when you hit this, it allows you to even like jump cancel off of that, and it wall bounces the opponent. So this move is pretty insane, but I'm assuming it's only going to be used in combos pretty much. There might be a way to use it in neutral if you have a read on someone just throwing projectiles. This is a really good move. Oh, and very quick, actually, they show it at the very end here. After hitting this move, there is this like air current that got summoned. And I don't know if this is unique to Aang's heavy special moves or if it's just specific to this one. But it does seem that hitting, at least with this heavy version of the move, it summons an air current. So that is interesting. Then you got sorry, not flow, you got EX version of this move. So he does flow in the beginning here actually. Just to quickly show that as well. So this is flow right here, right, where he dodges this, but then this move that's coming from Korra, he is able to go right through it because he does this EX version of this move. So that's interesting. They decided to give this version of the move invincibility. You can probably use it for combos as well because it's multi-hitting. Now this is where the crazy part of this video starts. So now obviously he has airborne moves, and this one is like a dive kick that goes straight down. And like you already know, like you from the previous videos, like I showed, he can do ambiguous mix-ups, right, going from left to right with glider and whatnot. So now you gotta have you gotta add to that he can just go straight down and hit you same side or fake you out, right? So this could also be used to just fake someone out where they don't want to deal with the ambiguous cross-ups and they decide to just straight up press flow, for example, and then you just bait out flow with this. So there's a lot you could do with this move already. And it's multi-hitting as well. This move is insane because I'm gonna again have to put this in 25% speed. Just take a look at what happens in the to Aang's trajectory here. So I'm gonna play this from the start because this is so important to see here. So Aang is jumping, right? And then right here he's about to go for the move, right, in the startup. This is the startup animation of this. He actually jumps up. It's like he does like a little float in the air before hitting with the staff. And so this means if you're looking for him, like if he jumps up and you react just traditionally by doing an anti-air, your anti-air is gonna whiff right here. Like you're not hitting this anti-air, right? And then that means if you whiff the anti-air, you're gonna get hit by this huge attack. You're gonna get counter hit. So, and they haven't even shown what this does on counter hit. This is just a regular hit. And the hitbox is already like I mentioned, insane. So this is not something you're gonna be able to anti-air easily. You're gonna have to delay your anti-air, I'm assuming, if you can even do that. So that's already pretty nasty. And then this version, the heavy version, it's a lot slower, but my guess is this is going to be plus on block, and if you get hit by it, sends you full screen. And then the EX version is so quick, and this allows for multiple combos in the air. And you can see like right here the green outline that Korra had. Now once she gets hit, she doesn't have it, and I'm assuming in this version what it does is it allows them to stay in place to get comboed from Aang in the air, because you can see like Aang is hitting Korra, but Korra is not moving, like she's not getting pushed back. So I'm assuming that only happens when they have that green outline on them. And he slams into the ground. Then you've got flow stance. Now here's something very interesting. Aang already has flow stance. Like you can see the outline here, right? Showcasing that flow stance is being used. So what this means is you can actually hold flow like in neutral. It's not something you just tap once or press once. You can hold it, right? And I'm going to assume that this is using some kind of meter, like the flow meter or some kind of like, you know, super bar or something to hold this, right? And that would make sense. So that means you can easily see the outline and then obviously decide to go for a throw instead to counter someone just holding flow on you, right? But you can see holding flow just automatic dodges, and it puts the screen in like this black and white. And then this is very important to note here. When Korra does this move, and I'm assuming this move is a low hitting move, it just looks like that, Aang goes up in the air to dodge. So this could just be a universal mechanic where if you dodge a low attack in flow, it puts your character in the air, because it makes sense, right? You're going to jump to dodge something that's low. However, this is much, much more important for Aang, because Aang is all about going in the air. So if you go, like, let's say you're Korra, you don't want to be throwing out low moves that often, especially if you think they're going to go into flow, because right now what happens is, like, Aang obviously just counters, right? Like, Korra got hit there, but that's like not the end of this thing, because he doesn't have to go for this move here. Like, once he comes out of flow from here, he's actually able to do whatever he wants. And in this instance, they just decide to go for an attack. But imagine he decided to go for a glider mix up there, or he decides to go for dive kick or something, right? There is a lot more that's going to happen when Aang comes out of flow if he's in the air than just an attack, right? This is probably the worst thing you could do, is just attack, unless you want to go for damage right away. So this is very, very scary, and it's basically showing that you don't want to be throwing low attacks on Aang too much, because he's gonna, if he dodges it with flow, he's just gonna go into the air and then start his mix-up game. And then there's some interesting stuff. So down flow, and this is, I think, universal as well, it allows you to dodge basically mids or highs, right? So this one was just down flow in place. Then with Aang specifically, he can do down flow and then steer back or forward. So that's interesting, right? So you can dodge like projectiles still while you're going back forward. And then he has a follow-up from this, and this follow-up seems to hit low. So that's pretty cool. It's a funny looking move, right? Where he just blows and then hits you low to the ground, right? So you might be like, okay, that's pretty cool, right? But this is now finally showcasing why the flow mechanic is insane, because this last mechanic, sorry, not the last one, this one first, there's a medium version of this move. This one is a pretty cool looking move. It's like a tornado. I'm just going to assume it's used in combos mostly, because it's just multi-hitting, sends him in the air, and then I bet he can cancel that into another flow move and then combo again and extend it. But this is the real danger of flow, and specifically flow from Aang, where if he's doing down flow, right, he can go back and forth, he can dodge you. So I already mentioned, like, if he's in flow, right, if he's in down flow, he can hit you low to the ground, right, with that move. And then if you decide, like, hey, you might hit you with that move, he can all of a sudden just jump up in the air, and this is a pretty high jump. So this angle, like, at this angle, you can probably anti-air, but again, like I mentioned, he can go for glider, he can go for dive kick, so he can change his trajectory right away. And this happens so quick. So you have to be, like, on point with your reaction to get ready for this, because if you're a little bit late, you're not going to hit the anti-air in time. And even if you decide, like, oh, okay, I'm just going to block, well, you have to guess which way you're going to block. And if you don't want to guess and you just want to use flow, that means Aang can force you to use your flow gauge. And like we just showed, that if you can hold flow, he can bait it out. So he doesn't have to commit to anything. He can just go jump down to the ground, right, do nothing. Or he can just do the vertical dive kick, and then you hold flow, and then all of a sudden he throws you, and then you get punish countered, and you lose some resources, right? Like on your flow meter or whatever. So this is so scary as a move. Like, there's already a high-low guess between what he can do, and then if you guess wrong, or even if you guess correctly, like, even if you don't do anything and then you just see this, you can't be sure what's coming. You can't react with an anti-air, because he could glider, he could do a whole bunch of stuff, right? And just to showcase what that looked like, by the way, like, look at this attack. Like, this is happening so quick. He's like, you can't, like, this is so hard to tell. Like, look at the hitbox of this move, and I can't even tell if Aang is in front or behind Korra, but he lands in front, and then Korra does an air tech right here. So that's very scary, guys. I'm telling you, it's going to be very hard to deal with Aang. And then this is the craziest part of the video, and I'm just going to let this play out first, because there's a lot happening here. So first, I'm going to put this in like half speed, or because there's a lot going on. So they showcase that obviously, in the air he can do like back flow, neutral flow, and then forward flow, right? And it changes, obviously, gives him speed on his glider, so it lets him glide, right? And then he's able to do stuff like this, so change the direction of while you're using flow, right? So you can go up, down, right? So changes his trajectory, right? But now, and so the last thing they show is, and you can just go straight down very quickly. Like, he can just fall straight down and bait stuff. And then back flow, This is a really powerful move if he wants to create space. Basically just puts him from corner to corner, and then from mid screen, if he does this, right, it's a short hop, and he can cancel that into the overhead, right? So this is again something very hard to deal with. This is the overhead version that allows you to link, and then the heavy one, and this hitbox is insane, right? So now let's combine all that together, and now this is something that I was not expecting. You can do motion inputs with flow, and these give you specific, at least in the case of Aang, it's like a buff, and this buff is the air current. So you can see he spins a staff and then he creates an air current, right? And it might be hard to tell because I'm in half speed. Let me just play this normal speed. The air current is moving right to left. You can see from the stage, like you can see the air currents, right? And then this is very interesting. So first off, when you have the air current moving in, like for example, right to left, right? If you jump back, Aang gets a buff where all his jump backs, right? Any move that moves him in the backwards, right, in the air, is like buffed. So his jump height goes high in the air when he's jumping back, and this is very, very important when he decides to go for glider, and this is the glider version he uses when he's going forward. You can see that his glider is slower, right? You can see how slow that was compared to previously, and that makes sense because he's going against the direction of the wind, right? There's like an air current coming from that direction. That's very, very important, guys, because that means that with the current on the screen, he can change the timings of his gliders, and that means he has different timings for different cross-ups and mix-ups. So this is just the version of the glider where Aang, first of all, this doesn't even have Momo on it. I'm going to talk about that in a bit, but this is just normal Aang doing an air current, right? So he does this flow move, creates a headwind basically, if you want to call it, and then he does glider into it. So you have to be ready for it. It's going to be a different timing essentially. And then they showcase this, but then the other version, now he has you can say a tailwind. And then look at how quick the glider is. And mind you, this is without Momo. He does not have Momo on here. And Momo, if you already know, Momo allows Aang to go much quicker up and low to the ground. So this is gonna be nuts. Like there is zero shot anybody is ever going to in the history of this game be able to accurately defend against these kind of mix-ups from Aang, because he can just vary his timing like crazy. He's going from one corner of the screen to the other in a second, right? And that was without Momo. So imagine what that's going to look like with Momo, right? So that's crazy, because that means at that point you're forced to basically either take a gamble and guess which direction, or you're going to have to gamble and say, hey, I'm going to hold flow and I don't want to deal with this. And then Aang can decide to just do nothing and then throw you, right? Now, obviously it makes sense because he has to use flow himself to do this. So it makes sense that this is going to be strong. But if, for example, like flow is a mechanic where you can run out of it in a round, or you have to like wait for it to recharge or something, in the time you don't have flow, this is an extremely scary situation to deal with, because there's no way you're going to guess right like at all, probably, right? Like most of the time you're just going to get hit by whatever mix-up is coming after this. So it can be very tough to defend against Aang. And that's pretty much it for the video, actually. Yeah, like I think he goes over one last combo here. Just showcasing this is like what Aang can do. That's probably not even like, that's just like one basic combo. Yeah, Aang is looking really deadly, really dangerous, guys, and really fun, and I'm excited. I'm probably going to be a Zuko main because he's just my favorite character, so we still got to wait for Katara and Korra, and then finally I think they'll do Zuko at the end. But yeah, closed beta test, or closed alpha, sorry, December 5th to 7th, so as soon as that comes out, I'm definitely going to be making content for you guys and guides later on, so make sure you guys subscribe for that. Alright guys, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.